How long time does it take? I mean, how big is the investment to get to the point where you get this extra productivity and joy around working agile?
My name is Jeppe Hedaa and I'm the author of Nucleon. In this video series, I've invited a number of knowledgeable people and experts to discuss the black box of IT development.
Today we are going to talk about the IT development methodologies, and I'm very happy that I have the privilege of talking to the COO of one of the most successful banks in Europe, mBank, and the COO is Krzysztof Dabrowski. So a warm welcome to you.
Thank you, Jeppe, for having me.
I know that it's been very difficult to do some knowledge sharing with mBank. I've had the privilege of having two visits with a large Danish bank and a large Danish data center. It took us months. The whole world wanted to know how you guys are so successful in digital banking. And therefore, it's good to have you here on methodologies. And also in your previous jobs, you've implemented Agile development, and now also in mBank. You know, in my book Nucleon, we claim that there's a productivity increase of 24% going from waterfall to agile seen across 4,000 projects. Is that also your gut feeling, having done it a couple of times successfully, or what are your observations here?
I think I do share the same observation. I think that when I look at your formula that you presented in the book, I fully support the notion that organization complexity is, let's say, part of the problem that is dragging us back in the software development. Maybe that's not the only problem, but that's certainly a big one. And I think agile practices, when it comes to managing the software development, they are partially attacking this particular problem. So not how smart people we have or what kind of technology we are using, but how do we operate, how we organize ourselves around the problem of software development. And basically my practice or my observations shows me that the typical agile organization or agile way of developing software is removing significant portion of the typical problems that people encounter when they are developing software in a large organization. So yes, indeed, I've seen the numbers. It's hard to quantify exactly what are the productivity gains, but certainly they were, and I think part of it is were also coming from the fact that people were a bit happier in this, let's call it, regime. And last but not least, but I think it's not exactly a factor of complexity, etc., but we were developing software which was better aligned with the needs of the customer. But I think that's a bit separate subject to the organizing ourselves.
When you have implemented these agile practices in your organizations, how long time does it take? I mean, how big is the investment to get to the point where you get this extra productivity and joy around working agile?
I think everything depends what's your starting point. So, because I do not believe there exists a single pure waterfall organization in the world. Why I do think so? I think so like that because I don't even believe that you can develop a working software in a by-the-book waterfall way in your lifetime. So people were always making shortcuts. Yes. So the question is, if your organization was already partially agile, and were you making the smart shortcuts in the past, or was it a bit of chaos, or was it very rigid and not really delivering anything? So I think everything depends on the starting point. So there are some organizations that are mentally ready for agile, and then the whole transformation can be done reasonably quickly, because in essence, if you have the right leadership, you just remove the organizational roadblocks, or you just make the decision. That's what people expect from you. Some organizations are mentally and culturally not really ready for Agile, because they certainly either were complacent or they liked the way they are behaving so far. And then your challenge is much bigger, because in essence you are not only answering to the problems they were having, you were also showing the problems that they were not even aware that they are having. Yeah? And this is much tougher exercise because you are not bringing the solution. First, you are bringing the long list of the problem, and you are becoming the mirror of the organization. So I would say you could see the results from 6 months, let's say, to even 2 years. Depends again what's your starting point. But mind it, we are talking about a large organization. So of course, if you have a greenfield software development, if you just have, I don't know, 20 people organization, you could turn around after, you can make a weekend offsite when the COVID is done. Then you can make a turnaround. You can start working in the new way. And after your first few sprints, you're practically there. But I guess that's not what we would like to talk about, because we wouldn't like to talk about the simplest case on the planet. In the large organization, it's much more complicated.
In the large organizations, our research showed us that there was a productivity drop around 40% initially, as they started to work in new ways and had to be trained and change all these patterns of behavior. And then there was a steep learning curve in average around 10 months, and then they would peak at an index 124. So that was obviously something that management has to be aware, that when people learn new stuff, they cannot necessarily solve as many problems as they could under the normal way of working or the traditional way of working. But are there other losses? Do you think what major losses do you have in a transformation to Agile?
Okay, but maybe let me challenge the idea of the losses first, if you
please
allow me to. Let's imagine that you had the organization that was not really writing automated tests, as majority of the organizations in the past were. Let's imagine you had the organization that was not really producing working software on a very short intervals. And just go through the book how the proper software development should be done, and then contrast it with your initial state. And my theory is that we are not really comparing apples to apples, because we are not transitioning the people from making, pardon my French, shitty software in a waterfall way to the organization that is developing shitty software in an agile way. We are adding a lot of other things to the mix. So if the productivity, let's say, is only calculated by, let's say, how many features we pump out of the door without looking at the quality and the fitness to the market and many other aspects that that a good agile implementation tries to take care of with the solid software engineering, then maybe you could say, yes, there is this big drop. But from my observation, the biggest drop, and I really put it in quotes, is coming from the fact that we are doing more things and we are doing things in a proper way. And then it becomes not like apples to apples comparison, because the quality of the product we get at the end is completely different than before. So I'm not sure if I'm helping really. I'm actually probably making the comparison harder, but I want to stress the fact all of my agile implementations that I've been part of were both changing the way we are working, so all of the, let's say, human process or management process around it, but they were also including a huge part of getting solid engineering practices in place that were not there in the past. Yeah, so then let's debate. Was it really a drop or not? Yeah.
That's a very interesting challenge, I think. So we can conclude that working closer together with the business people, understanding their needs and ambitions better, will enable us to be more relevant in our software development, and that will compensate for the loss, the initial loss there might be in working new ways and for people to change. You talked about also, I think I heard, some indirect losses, that some people are not capable of working in this new way. Was this your observation in the practical implementations, or did they finally adapt?
I think there are people that that cannot adapt to this way of working, and I appreciate that. Yeah, because again, we are talking about running a large software house in whatever area, but it is a large software house. So if we come with a way of working that includes a lot of interaction, a lot of transparency, a lot of communication with the business stakeholder, but also within the team, and somebody just doesn't like to work this way, or it almost causes the physical pain. And we are not talking about people who are not intellectually capable of the job. We are talking about people who genuinely are capable of doing this job. This might create a working environment that they just do not feel okay with. So, but then my answer would be, we just shouldn't create a, how would you call it, dysfunctional corporate environment just to satisfy somebody who cannot function in it. I would suggest that those people should find their luck and happiness in a smaller organization, because I think the actual problem might not be the agile or not agile, but simply the fact that large organization requires a lot of interaction and a different way of working than a small organization. And indeed, I met few people in the past that they didn't really work like this, but they found themselves, in other organizations which were much more compatible to their, let's say, mental setup.
I was part of agile projects in the 90s. I mean, we did, rapid application development, joint application design, time boxing, and stuff like that. And right now, everybody's working on agile safe implementations. Are we looking at a mature agile implementation methodology today, or has it evolved into being too much or too little? Do you see future versions of agile implementations that are radically different from what we see today? What is your perspective here?
I think maybe that's just my thinking, but I think we are far away from maturity, from my perspective. I actually see a lot of danger in the agile world, because the word agile became a very large basket that holds thousands of ideas. And these days everybody claims that they are doing agile software development because it's in vogue, and it's hard to claim otherwise. But if you look under the hood, then you have everything practically. The whole zoo is there. So first it raised the problem of devaluation of the concept or of the brand, if you call agile with capital A. If you call it a brand, there is this brand devaluation, because if everybody is doing agile, and if you look inside you see very goods and very bads, then you start asking yourself, so what's this agile, if or does it, if it's not a stamp of quality or something, and it can be anything, then anything can be agile. So I don't see this maturity, because for me the maturity would mean that there are, let's say, there's a limited established solid way of doing things, and if you say I'm doing agile, or you actually everybody understands what you are talking about. And these days, I don't think we are there. We are there yet. It might be that it's to the contrary, actually, that it gets even more complicated to find out who is doing what when they claim that they are doing agile. And I think there are also signs that agile is maturing. Let's go. It's not reaching the maturity, but maturing, because when you mention SAFe, for instance, this is one of the approaches how to scale agile to the large organization, because the initial methodologies, they were basically, if you read the book, it's about a team. It's not about a collection of teams. It's not about few thousand people strong organization. It's not in the, let's say, original methodologies books. So then you have people like the ones you mentioned, who are coming with some layers on top of the agile. Now there is a need for that, because clearly the basic methodologies do not answer the large organizational questions. On the other hand, when I look at the approaches, I'm asking myself, are they still in the agile spirit? Or are we going back to where we started with just a different different brand name, which would be a worrying sign, because we started this. I do not claim I started, but let's say the industry started this whole movement just to attack partially the complexity of our jobs. And if we will end up introducing the same level of complexity but under the different name, I would say we lost the game here. Yeah. So no, it's not mature. I can see the signs of maturing, but I still think there are more questions than actually good answers.
Krzysztof Dabrowski, thank you very much for taking the time to share your experiences and outlook. And it's been a pleasure having this conversation. Wishing you a good summer in these Corona times, and thanks again for sharing.
Thank you very much.